time for our summer garden tour. Here's Mary.
Hi everyone. Welcome back to our channel. It's the middle of July and everything is growing great in the garden, so we thought that we'd take you around and show you what's changed and some of the experiments I'm doing and how they're progressing. So we're on the northeast side of, every time I do this, we're on the southeast side of the garden, and our herbs, this is our whole line of herbs and some asparagus, but everything is just rocking. I'm gonna wait a couple of days. It just rained, and I'm gonna start clipping and drying herbs so that we can have dried herbs hanging in the house for preservation, and I'm gonna make some tinctures this year.
Yeah, the garden went vertical since the last update.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really cool seeing it all come together. But where do you want to start?
Let's start right
with the
here.
tomatillos?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we have about 5 or 6 plants of tomatillos, and they've just created a wall. They're just vining and going. I haven't pruned them at all. I don't really know if you're supposed to prune them. This is also tomatillo. This one kind of tipped over in our last storm, so it's looking a little rough.
Okay, let's not do that one. Back over here.
Pretty much all of them.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I put your like tomato trellis like round things around a couple of them, and it seems to just hold up the vines, like the arms, because they can get really heavy. So for those of you who don't know what tomatillos are, it's the green part of salsa verde, and it grows in these husks. So each one of these is like a little pillow cushion, and on the inside, here, I'll pluck this one off just to show you. On the inside, if you open it up, like a big kind of green, in this case they're going to be yellow, but I don't know, a fruit grows in there, and that it'll grow through this kind of husk skin and bust open, and then you know it's time to harvest them. And this turns into kind of like a papery substance. But we're going to have a lot of them, so we're going to have a lot of salsa verde. Moving on, we have a row of tomatoes is doing wonderfully. I've learned that when companion planting, especially flowers, you want to look at how tall the flowers are going to be, because some of the flowers that I companion planted have gotten a little larger than I expected, as you can see down here. But they're planted out far enough that I think it's okay still. They block the sun a little in the afternoon, but not much.
And what are these?
I'm not sure what these are.
Oh, okay.
These are basil. All of the smaller ones that kind of stagger in between are basil, and then I did a row of kind of random flowers on the outside. These I think are going to be really pretty.
Oh, here's some normal basil.
Genevieve basil.
Genevieve, okay.
Or, don't step on it. Get step on the carrot. Okay, so
Sorry.
on the other side,
I almost stepped on the carrots.
I planted carrots much later than everything else, so they're just popping up, but that's fine because they're pretty cold hardy. We have some radishes right here in the center, and they're a little bug eaten, but they're doing good. And then another row of carrots on the outside there. I really like to stagger the rows and just plant as much as I can in the area. We also have lots of onions. Most of them are for storage onions over here. This whole row is onions. And in our last storm, it knocked over a number of these, the greens on the red onions, or the purple onions. So I'll let the greens die off, and hopefully this area dies so that I can harvest them and store them. But they're a little smaller than I was expecting. The onions that I started from seed and planted are doing a lot better, so I'm gonna put more of an emphasis on starting my own onions from seed next year. It's just a very noticeable difference in the quality. The cabbage as well, our one row of cold hardy vegetables is doing great.
Ooh.
Oh, one of the pigs got a reminder.
Ooh, down in the woods too.
So this was kind of a random area. Sometimes I like to just throw seeds down and see what pops up. We've got some bolting lettuce. This is just a lettuce mix. I think it was from M.I. Gardner, actually. And then a bunch of kohlrabi in here. You could pull that and we could give it to the chickens.
The whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. Because that plant, once lettuce bolts, it gets pretty bitter. And it's not great for fresh eating.
Let's see the pigs real quick. Come on, pigs. Hey, pigs. Come on, pigs. Come on, pigs.
So the cabbage is doing great. Something that we did talk about in the last video were the leeks that I left from last year.
Go around this mountain of hay here.
They're now flowering, or getting further along in their like life cycle, and the flower heads are just massive. And I've been picking them off to see how developed they are. And it doesn't look like they're like fully ready to cut off yet, but I'm gonna leave all of these to go to seed, and then have a bunch of leek seeds that we started here.
Hope we don't have a leak.
All right, let's go this way. Here's cabbages, they're doing great. Different stages, early, some later. On these two trellises, we have the peas and beans. Beans took a hard hit this year. They're looking good now. Some of them, it looks like, need a little bit more nitrogen, but I think I planted them too early. The ground was too cold and they just struggled. They stayed really low, didn't vine up right away, and now they're vining, and now we've got some good looking beans coming in. So I'll do some harvesting later this afternoon, and we'll eat a lot of these for dinner. I really like this variety because, and I can't remember what it is, but it grows longer instead of fatter, and then you don't get a big fat sour tough bean, you get just a long slender bean. So if you forget to harvest, it kind of saves you. Coming over this way, we've got the chocolate base, or the chocolate mint, that's just doing really well. I'm gonna harvest a lot of this for tea making. Harvest it, dry it, and then crumple it and make some teas. And our peppers are doing great. The peppers last year kind of like fizzled out after a little while. We didn't get very big of plant, or big of actual peppers, but some of these are just, I mean, look at that one's getting stuck, but they're massive. I've got paprika peppers, jalapenos. Let's see, I have the little tags down in here. I can't remember the other ones, but mostly green sweet peppers, and then some hot peppers for canning. We really want to make cowboy candy this year, so that's what most of the jalapenos will go to. In these two rows, we have potatoes. Potatoes, they're looking great. We did get hit with the Colorado potato beetle. I did my best to pick the mother beetles off and squish the eggs, but we do have some. And I come out and pluck them off, and then I feed them to the chickens, but it doesn't seem that the chickens really like to eat them. I think they have a bad taste. So these guys, they will massacre the leaves on your potatoes, killing the plant, and then you are like forced to harvest the potato because it's no longer growing. So if you come out with a bucket and you just gently pull these off, put them in the bucket and squish them, your plants will grow longer. This time I'm just gonna squish on the ground. All right, heading that row. The sweet potatoes, the sweet potatoes are coming in pretty nicely. They're vining a lot more. There is somebody's eating the leaves. I think it's rabbits.
Yeah, we've got a lot of rabbits in here.
We don't have the garden fenced at all, so I'm not surprised. I kind of knew there would be some eaten, but Sadie does a really good job of rounding them up. The garlic. So we're gonna actually be harvesting this today. Not quite yet, we'll finish the tour, but the garlic is ready. It's big and it smells delicious. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. In this area, kind of this viney area, there's cucumbers, different types of squash, one different type of pumpkin, and then watermelon right here. And I'm very excited about the watermelon because I've not grown watermelon in a while, and just growing things and seeing them, what you see in the store and then growing it in your own garden is just so satisfying. And watermelon is one of those things for me. We also have some other random things in here, like some currant plants that I'm just using as a little nursery area. There's beets in here. There's also weeds. We have lots of weeds, and I'm okay with that for right now. Our plants are doing great, and the areas in between the plants.
Oh.
Sadie got hit.
Sadie hit the bee fence. Oh, are you okay, Sadie?
Oh. It's okay.
She was hunting hard in there.
Okay.
Speaking of keeping rabbits out of the garden.
Yeah.
That's the second. She went into the pigs the other day and came out. You got shocked twice.
Yeah.
That was probably, what, a week ago?
She's not used to the tape fencing. She's used to the Premier One netting.
Better get used to it.
I did some experimenting on this trellis of putting squash on it. And here's a squash plant that's germinated and growing, or I think that's acorn squash, but I'm actually not sure. I planted so many squash and cucumbers all at the same time in different areas, and I didn't mark them. But we'll figure it out once it grows big enough.
Sure.
And then this was my main experiment kind of mound. And overall, I think what I can say is that I planted too much on this one mound, but the pumpkins and the squash really liked the higher nitrogen. The watermelon did not so much. So the watermelon's growing, it's doing pretty good, but it's not really producing much fruits. Here's a little watermelon there, but compared to the watermelon plants that we just looked at, this one is kind of far behind. So that makes sense that it just needs more phosphorus and potassium opposed to nitrogen. And in this corner, I planted some black walnuts. So we got them from a friend, and I've since weeded and mulched them, and the black walnuts are looking great. I'm estimating there's probably over 100, maybe 150-ish. They're still pretty little, but we're gonna be up potting them next year, and then kind of seeing if anyone in the area wants to buy them and putting them online. We're just gonna see what happens with them. Plant them around here too, for sure. Not in the garden though. We're not gonna leave these here. We're gonna remove them and plant them elsewhere. I know that the roots and the leaves and the actual black walnuts can be not great for planting other things under. Oh yeah, so these two are the other really big pumpkin plants, and they're doing good. I don't have any complaints about that gigantic, massive pumpkin. I'll probably buy it again. I think that was also from M.I. Gardner. There's a couple over here. Not quite as big as the one that we just looked at, or the ones over there. So, but all just good things to experiment with. And then something else that I came to realize this past week was most of this area of the garden was kind of filled with a bunch of weeds like this, and I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to solarize it all or whether I wanted to pull them. And while weeding out the black walnuts, I realized if I take it day by day and pull the weeds, I can then feed them to the chickens and the sheep and the pigs and use it as some extra greens and extra fodder for them, and then chunk out sections of the garden to weed and not make it such a detrimental job. So I've been doing that. It looks very chaotic and like it has a lot of weeds in it, but now in my mind I'm like, well, I just have a couple more days of weeding and more days of feed for our animals. So if you have a really weedy garden, don't forget that. Don't feel bad that you have weeds, because it happens. It's gonna grow. Weeds are gonna grow everywhere, but they're not always just weeds. They can be feed too.
The nicest grass we have on the property.
Yeah.
I wish our pasture looked like that.
It has lots of nutrients.
Yeah.
Okay, should we harvest some garlic?
Sure.
So we cut the scapes off after they curled once or twice. And what that does is it pushes the nutrients of the plant back down into the bulbs rather than pushing the nutrients into growing a flower and producing seeds. And we left a couple of the seed pods on the garlic to keep an eye on what they looked like. There's one here and one there. And the way you tell when you're supposed to harvest garlic, from what my neighbors have taught me, is as a scape grows, it will be in kind of like a twirl. So this one kind of has like a weird elbow thing in it, but it used to have two curls in it. And as the garlic grows, it turns into a straight scape or seed pod. And when it straightens all the way up, you want to harvest within 5 to 7 days after it goes all the way straight. So I think it was like Thursday, this one went all the way straight, and this one is just about there. And I have another one down at the very end down there that's straight. So we're harvesting today. I think it's a good time. The bulbs are very developed. So here we go. Got the whole row harvested. Basically what I did was pull it up, brush the roots off with my hand to get as much dirt out as I could, and then set them in the bins. We're going to dry these and basically cure them so that they're shelf stable for the whole year.
Here we are at Mary's new garden shack. Brandy new. What do you think?
Designed just for me.
Just for Mary.
I love it. It's everything we're gonna need for the garden.
Big old
Storage
buck up
for
there.
animals. Storage for like.
Let's go in. Let's check her out.
Right?
So it's 12 by 8. That's the enclosed area, and then the 4-foot deck on the front. So we tried to build this with stuff we had laying around as far as lumber and everything else. I think the only thing we went and bought like this, this year anyway, so it actually felt like it cost money, was the roofing. So we did it economically as well. We got some help and free stuff from friends and neighbors and family too.
And family, so very grateful for everyone who gave us things and pitched in.
But we're gonna do future plans include a rain gutter collection system to a rain barrel on the side. That's why we left the fascias open. Little fake window. We're actually gonna decorate this, model it after our neighbor Judy's garden shack. That was kind of the inspiration for this anyway. And so she has a fake window on the back of hers too. So
yeah.
There we go. There's the start of it. We got a long way to go. We're gonna do a little window box here, a little flower box below the window, and then we're also gonna do a lean-to roof off the front, coming that way. So that may not be till next year, but this is gonna be huge for us because we're gonna be able to get rid of one of our shipping containers, and it's a place that's ours, that we built and sweat on and bled on and all that, and it feels good. So show us the garlic. How are we gonna dry this?
Yeah,
it stinks out here, by the way. It's windy, and
it smells delicious.
No, it smells awesome, but like the garlic is very pungent.
Yes, it is. So basically with garlic, this is a hard neck garlic variety, which literally means that the neck is hard, and it grows really big cloves. So just like any other garlic, we planted this, I think it was last October. It overwintered, grew in our garden, and now it's the middle of July, and we're harvesting it, and we're gonna dry it so that we can store it over this coming winter. So now that the garden shed is done, we're repurposing the brooder cover, and we're gonna dry our garlic on it. So we just need someplace with good airflow that's out of direct sunlight, and kind of like someplace where the dirt or kind of debris will just fall through, and this is gonna work perfectly for it. So
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, we're gonna lay everything out on here. I'm not really sure how we're gonna arrange it yet. Just gonna kind of figure it out.
Okay, here we are back at the potato patch. We ended up with 80 heads of garlic, which are drying happily in the garden shed. And now we're gonna harvest some taters for dinner tonight. We got some friends coming over, so take it away, honey.
Yeah, so we have two beds here, and these are just organic red and white or yellow potatoes that I've been saving for a number of years, that I just bought from the grocery store a while ago. So I just have been using them, the same seed potatoes, over and over, and we're very happy with them.
Let's dig them up.
Yeah, so I want to see how the potatoes are doing. Is one reason why we're digging them up. So kind of the first year that we are having a good crop of potatoes. So I've seen that if you just take a plant and pull it, ooh, you can just get the potatoes out.
Did you plant any of them French fried potatoes?
Gosh.
Wow, look at that. Those are
kind of
golds?
I think so. Kind of small yet. So.
Are they hot?
Hot.
They're not hot potatoes?
Nope, these ones are cold. Here's the seed potato that grew the plant, and then all of these little guys grew off as like this out of the roots.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig a little deeper and see if
That'll
there's
stink
any
a frying pan, huh?
Yeah. This soil, I mean, coming into this area, our soil did not look like this, so it's very encouraging to see just how rich it looks and how healthy, and a lot more organic matter than there used to be. And this right here, this is a very good sign. This little white, that's mycelium. It's the fungi that lives in the top layers of the soil that gets the nutrients where it needs to go so that the plants can all digest it.
Wait a minute. I thought it was your cilium.
It's mycelium.
Anyway, there's our take on that plant.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
Should be
pull
some
up.
more.
Yeah, and I tried to kind of grow the same ones next to each other, but ooh, oh, that's the seed potato. Look at that big one. Oh no.
Oh wow.
Nice. Maybe that's not the seed potato.
Did you make sure that wasn't a rock? Got a lot
So-
of rocks here.
It looks like they definitely need some more time to grow, and maybe some more nutrients, but I'm not sure what. I'll have to look that up. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments, because this is our first time growing, like getting an actual, like a good harvest of potatoes. Last year our plants got eaten by the beetles really badly, and it wasn't very pretty. But we did get some of the fruits on the top.
Tater fruit?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure these are edible too. Cool.
There you have it.
This will be tasty for dinner.
Okay, over and out. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Yeah. Bye.